What's up, everybody? Steelers fans out there, Kevin Smith with you for another episode of the Call Sheet Breakdowns. We are going to jump in just a second and look at Pittsburgh's offense and some of the struggles that they had in Thursday night's contest against the New England Patriots. Frustrating, but instructive, man. You can learn an awful lot just by breaking down the film, seeing what the Steelers are struggling with, maybe making some suggestions as to how they can fix them. Before we jump in, though, man, if you get an opportunity, subscribe to us here at the SCN YouTube channel. If you like what you see here on the video, hit that like button. That helps us a lot. Appreciate everybody's support. Okay, business keeping done. Let's get on with it, man. If we are talking about Pittsburgh and New England, we are talking about a second straight frustrating performance by the Steelers. A 21-18 loss in which they buried themselves early with a 21-3 hold, fought back, but were unable to get the job done. And what we're going to look at specifically is how did some of what they did on offense help create that hole, and then why were they unable to get back in the very end, those last two possessions where they had the football down by a field goal, simply need to move into field goal range to give themselves an opportunity to push this game to overtime. Can't do it. Let's take a look at some of the reasons as to why. All right, so we'll start here in the second with the second possession of the game. The Steelers drove down the field, kicked a field goal on their first possession, did some good things in that first drive. Here we are in the second drive, and they're going to open up here against a man look from New England, and we'll run the route concept full through all the way, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, right? So here we go. Snap, Steelers run, a simple concept, a spacing concept, okay? Here it is again. We'll look at why it's called spacing. That's a really simple concept to understand. Look at the 5 Steelers wide receivers. They're spacing the entirety of the field. If we're working from the bottom to the top, you're getting hitches, you're getting a vertical from the slot receiver, you're getting what's called an OTB route from Deontay Johnson, who you can see there at the 23-yard line, just between the two hashes. OTB stands for over the ball. It literally means he's going to hook up right over the center. Then on the outside or to the top of the screen, you're getting a swing route from the running back and then a curl inside from the widest receiver. So really what the Steelers are doing is they're putting a receiver in all the underneath zones with one vertical threat. All right, that's all well and good. And Mitchell Trubisky targets Pat Freiermuth here, who runs the curl from the top. One more time. You see Freiermuth just outside the 20-yard line, run the curl. Trubisky throws the ball in there, and it's broken up by New England. But here's the problem. Spacing is a zone beater. The idea of spacing is to pull the defense, stretch the defense across the underneath zones with the hitches and the curls and those types and the OTB, and then just throw the ball into a seam. But the problem here is New England's playing man. So you're running a zone beater against man coverage. And obviously now there's an inability to space the field because all the defenders are locked on to Steelers receivers. Okay, so it's a misdiagnosis on the part of Pittsburgh, right? They run a zone beater against man coverage. Here's the next down. And on the next down, this is actually 3rd and long. The play I showed you first was 2nd and 7. So we're now into 3rd and 7 here. And the Steelers get in a bunch to the bottom of the formation with George Pickens singled up on the front side, and they're going to, or on the far side, and they're going to run what's essentially a sail concept, which is like a flood concept. They're going to try to put 3 receivers into one side of the field and just outnumber at 3 different levels the New England defenders. They wind up throwing a deep corner route to Allen Robinson. Robinson is on the inside of the bunch. Pat Freiermuth is the point man in the bunch. You see him run some kind of a delayed hitch. And then Deontay Johnson to the outside runs an out cut. There's lots of problems with this. Here's one of them. It looks like a pre-snap cover 2 look from New England, but quickly you're going to see New England rotate into a cover 1 robber. See the safety to the wide side of the field work himself down into just above the hook zone, looking to rob any inside routes. Meanwhile, the other safety is going to start to rotate over towards the Steelers logo in the middle of the field. And again, the Steelers are running a zone beater against man coverage. This is another misdiagnosis. Not only is it a misdiagnosis, but the route running is really poor. Let's start with Robinson. Again, Robinson is the inside receiver to the bunch. He's got to run a corner route. He has to beat the slot defender lined up over him. He's got to win outside. But instead, Robinson allows that defender to ride him up the hash. Look at Robinson. We're 10 yards up the field. He's 10 yards off the ball, and he's still pinned to the inside. How's he going to get back outside? He's playing perfectly into the hands of the defense by allowing the nickel defender or the slot defender to play on his outside hip, while meanwhile the safety plays over the top. So you got an over-under on Robinson. There's zero chance that this ball is going to be completed. Robinson, when he's running his route, we'll do it one more time, he needs to stick his foot in the ground right around the 33-yard line and make some kind of move that will allow him to win outside. And he never does that. So he covers himself essentially by staying up the hash. Let's look at George Pickens to the top now, right? You're going to get this safety rotation. I always ask myself this when I watch the Steelers passing game. How are the quarterbacks being trained? Where are their eyes supposed to go? Oftentimes, quarterbacks are taught when you catch the snap, your eyes go right to the safeties. You need to see if there's some kind of a post-snap rotation going on. If Mitchell Trubisky's eyes are going to the safeties right now, he's seeing a post-snap rotation. He's seeing cover one. And in this look, where do you want to go with the ball against cover one? I don't know, man. I'd go to George Pickens. I'm throwing the ball to George Pickens. He's your best one-on-one receiver. He's going to get the cornerback one-on-one up the boundary. And we've seen Pickens win this route time and time again. But Trubisky doesn't locate Pickens, and instead he throws the ball to the sail concept, which is covered well by New England. Steelers wind up punting. Okay, on their next series, on Pittsburgh's next series, they start with a design I really like, man. I really like this concept. This is good stuff. This is what we want to see from the Steelers. Here comes Jaylen Warren, who is positioned to the top of the formation off the ball, right? Tucked inside the numbers there or just outside the numbers there at the 20. You'll see him come in motion, and there's a lot going on here. The Steelers are going to fake to Najee Harris. Harris is going to go one way. Warren's going to be in motion going the other way. They're going to pull a guard. So you got an awful lot for the linebackers to process. Watch first all the cross motion. Warren, the guard, Harris, they're all going in different directions. And now watch what this does to the linebackers. Watch New England's inside linebackers here. As a result of this cross motion and these ball fakes, look how aggressively they step up. New England's linebackers have really gotten downhill. They're buying the run fake. Meanwhile, Trubisky's pulled the ball, and he's starting to boot out a little bit. But listen, man, this is the thing I don't get sometimes about the Steelers offense. What is the progression here? Who are we looking for? Because conceptually, we should be looking for the crossing route, because all that backfield action, all that smoke and mirrors the Steelers are creating there is designed to displace the backers, and it works. Look at Deontay Johnson, who's on the far side of the field, right? Deontay Johnson lined up there on the 18-yard line, just inside the 20. Watch him come wide open as he crosses the field. Play fake, boot. Look at Johnson. There's nobody in the middle of the field, nobody to play him. If Mitchell Trubisky's foot is in the ground right now and he's throwing the ball to Deontay Johnson, this is going to be a big play. This is going to be a big play. Look at Johnson, wide open in the middle of the field. But Trubisky seems the entire time locked on Warren, who's the check down. He's absolutely the check down. And we check it down here, and Warren makes 11 yards, and that's great, man. That's great. Good design. They pick up a first down. You can't really complain about that. But man, if you go through the progression the way it should be taught, you've got Deontay Johnson for a much bigger play. All right, so the Steelers make a first down, and now we get into the next play in this particular series, where they're going to run the football off of similar motion, right? So they get into basically a similar look, except right now they've got a closed side to the left of the formation. Here comes Warren as the jet back in motion, but they run the football to Najee Harris to the weak side of the formation, to the side from which they've just motioned. And this doesn't make sense. This is where I'm I have questions about, again, design, intention. What are the Steelers trying to do here? You bring Warren in motion, but when you do that, watch what happens to the defender lined up over him. He walks down and he comes right off the edge and he's unblocked and he tackles Harris for no gain. Why would you right here? If you don't motion at all, you've got 2 to block 2 on that side of the football with a combo block on the one technique up to the middle linebacker who's just inside the right hash there. But when you motion Warren, you bring an extra defender who cannot be accounted for. He can't be accounted for. Here comes Warren. Now there's what? Look at the edge. Nobody to block him. I don't understand. What is the purpose of that motion? I'm assuming the purpose of that motion is to try to get the linebackers to bump with the jet and then to run the football back the other way. But it still wouldn't have mattered if the backers bumped over because there's nobody to block that edge. So that design doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. All right, now on the very next play, we're in 2nd down and 11. And this is where when you start talking about play designs and you sometimes hear commentators say things like the Steelers are running a Saturday offense. This is a Friday night offense. And by that, I mean, this is high school. Watch the route concepts they run. It's 2nd and 11. And look at what they run route-wise. They're in a 2x2 set, slot to the top, tight end, flanker to the bottom, and they run. Look at that. Look at that, man. That's 2 hitches on the inside, two 6-yard hitches, and 2 vertical routes on the outside. And they're running this against a 3-man rush with 8 New England Patriots in coverage. 8 guys to cover these 4 really basic and simplistic routes that the Steelers have no prayer completing. You're running this against zone coverage. You're running this into an outnumbered receiver structure. It's too simplistic. There's just nothing challenging about this. And there's nothing that's going to stress the defense whatsoever. And no, it's covered, obviously, right? So Mitchell Trubisky has to pull the football down and run. Again, man, the wide receiver, the wide outs, the widest guys are going to be funneled into the safeties. You got 4 underneath guys to cover these 2 little hitch routes. It's just too basic. Trubisky pulls the ball down. He scrambles. He makes a yard. And that brings us to 3rd down. So we're at the end of the second quarter here, or end of the first quarter, I should say. We switch ends. The Steelers now are faced with 3rd down and 9. And they're going to run 4 verticals into a rotation by New England. Again, where do the quarterback's eyes go? Right at the snap. If his eyes are going on to the safeties, he's going to see this is cover 2. This is cover 2. But he's got to also, as he trains his eyes on the safeties, he's got to see the deep drop by the linebacker. Really? This is more like a Tampa 2 structure, right? What's Tampa 2? Tampa 2 is when you have 2 deep safeties playing half the field, like you see here. See the 2 deep safeties out near midfield. And then a linebacker dropping into the deep hole to take away any benders. So if the Steelers run 4 verticals, for example, which they're running here, and one of those receivers is designated as the bender, meaning the guy who bends his route into the middle of the field, that Tampa 2 backer is going to take that away. So really, you can't throw up the hashes here. You can't throw up the seams here. The seams are covered. The only thing you can do here is throw outside to one of the receivers running the outside vertical and hope to hit it quickly in the hole in between the corners and the safeties. So if we go and run it back from the beginning, that's not what happens. Watch what happens. Trubisky takes the snap. There's the high hole drop, and he tries to force the ball up the seam to Pat Freiermuth. It's picked. New England runs it back to about the 12-yard line. They punch it in from there, take a quick 14-3 lead. Tons of problems with this. First of all, watch Pat Freiermuth's route. This is Freiermuth's aiming point here. He's got to be on his route. His landmark is to be between the hash and the numbers, just like George Pickens is. Pickens is in the opposite slot. Watch Pickens go up the field between the hash and the numbers. That's where Freiermuth has to get. But Freiermuth does a poor job on his release and gets funneled outside the numbers. Look at him here. He's outside the numbers. He's on the bottom of the numbers. And this makes it so easy for the underneath defender who just jammed him to slide back under him because he knows Freiermuth has to work back inside. Meanwhile, by not getting on his aiming point, Freiermuth allows the safety to take away anything over the top. So Freiermuth should not be an option here based on his release alone. And yet that's where we go with the football. What Freiermuth does is, as he gets back into his route, he hitches up. And the reason he hitches up is because he sees the safety sitting right over top of him. Why is the safety right over top of him? Because he got jammed too wide on his release. Yet Trubisky throws the ball there. Anyway, Freiermuth hitches up. The safety swoops in and picks it. It's just this is bad all around, man. It's a bad play call for the coverage that New England shows. Now, do the Steelers know what New England's going to play? No, but you can get a pretty good feel for it if you're doing your homework, you're doing your film work. Then it's a bad release by Freiermuth. It's a bad read by Trubisky. It's bad all around. The Steelers get down 14-3. It will be 21-3 at the half, but they claw their way back, right? They claw their way back in. Okay, and so now here we are in the fourth quarter. All right, I'm going to run this back again. It's now 21-18. All right, the Steelers have worked their way back. They've got momentum. They've got a 2nd down and 3 play. This is their second to last series of the game. So there's about 6.5 minutes to go. They're driving the ball out to their own 37-yard line. 2nd and 3. They got to get to the 40, right? You got a couple good options here. They run an RPO, a run pass option. So for those who don't remember what an RPO is, real quick, RPO, you have an option to either hand the ball to the running back or throw the ball to a wide receiver based upon your read of a second-level defender. And really, it's a numbers game. RPOs are just math. All you're doing here is you're counting numbers. So what Mitchell Trubisky should do here is count the numbers in the box. How many blockers do the Steelers have? How many defenders do New England have in the box? Well, look at the box. You can count them. You got 5 offensive linemen plus Darnell Washington, who's lined up like an H back there in a wing position, 6 blockers. How many New England defenders in the box? 1, 2, 3, 4 all across the line of scrimmage, 2 linebackers, 6. You got 6 on 6 in the box. The Steelers are going to run counter G here, where they're going to pull the guard and Washington's going to pull and wrap around. Great, man. Excellent play call for 6 on 6 in the box. You should be able to run this football, easily make a couple yards, move the chains. But watch what happens instead. Instead, here's what the Steelers do. They whip the football out here to George Pickens, where there's nobody to block the corner. It's 1 to block 2 on the perimeter. It's 6 to block 6 in the box. It's 1 to block 2 on the perimeter. Why would you throw the football out there? Makes no sense to me. Watch the run blocking inside. Tell me what happens if they hand the ball to Harris here. He's going to jam that thing up the gut. You can see the defensive tackle kind of working off the block at the left hash there. He's not going to make the tackle at the line of scrimmage. Harris is going to jam that up in there, and he's going to make 4 or 5 yards, and we're going to move the sticks. But if you look at the perimeter, right, pre-snap, you throw a hitch out there to Pickens, there's nobody to block the corner. How's this going to work? It's not. This is a dead play. And the frustrating thing about this is when Matt Canada was the coordinator, there were a lot of dead plays. And I thought the biggest thing we're going to see from this offense when you get rid of Canada is they're going to get out of dead plays. And maybe here you can't fault Eddie Faulkner or Mike Sullivan. Maybe this is on Mitchell Trubisky because you're giving him the option here and he chooses wrong. I don't know why Trubisky chooses to throw the ball into a situation where an unblocked defender only has to come up 5 yards to make a tackle, but he does. And so now it becomes 3rd and 3, and the Steelers can't convert that, and they have to punt the football away. But they get another shot. They get one more chance, right? Here's their last possession. We're going to look at 2 plays in their last possession where they're unable to make a first down, and essentially the football game will end. It is 3rd and 2 with just over 2 minutes to play. The Steelers are on the 48-yard line. They're now getting close to Chris Boswell field goal range. Chris Boswell has already made a 55-yard field goal in this game. They're down 21-18. They need to get to the 49-yard line for a first down. So it's 3rd and almost 3, I should say. Yeah, a lot of options here. They come out empty. Fine, I got no problem with that. And they run a great concept. Watch the concept that they run here. They run a pick. It's a pick play to the top of the screen, right? Look at that to the top of the screen. They're running a pick between their slot receiver and the outside receiver. It's Deontay Johnson in the slot. It's George Pickens outside. Pickens winds up coming open on the slant. Trubisky misses him, right? One more time. Here it is. He's got both these guys. If he wants to throw right now to the flat, he's got him. First down. First down. If he wants to throw the slant, he's got him. First down. He can go either way, man, because New England gets screwed up on the pick, right? The defenders run into each other. They rub each other off. I mean, if he hits if he hits Pickens in stride, the corner probably makes the tackle for a first down. But look if the corner misses the tackle. If he hits Pickens right there in stride and the corner misses him, Pickens is gone. Touchdown. If he doesn't like it, right? Again, if he goes back to the quick out, the speed out from Johnson, first down. Trubisky's just got to put the ball on the money here. He's got to make the play. He doesn't. Which brings us to 4th and 2. This is a play that Steelers fans have played over and over and over and over again. And they wonder, my gosh, this is the best we could come up with. I can tell you this. Don't blame the play design. It's actually a pretty good play design. Right? The Steelers anticipate pressure from New England. They anticipate man coverage. They get a great look. Watch what they're going to do here. On the outside, Deontay Johnson and George Pickens are going to run takeoff routes, but they're not going to throw the ball there. They shouldn't, I should say. They should be targeting Pat Freiermuth running a pick play right here for Allen Robinson in the left slot. Watch what Freiermuth does. Freiermuth runs a pick. Beautiful. Look at Allen Robinson right there. Throw him the football. Allen Robinson should hitch up right here. Mitchell Trubisky's feet are set. Look at him. He's set with his foot in the ground. Allen Robinson should just hitch up, and Trubisky should put the ball right on his chest, and it's a first down, and now the Steelers are marching towards a field goal, right? Excellent job by Freiermuth clearing out both guys. New England's slot corner anticipated this and ran over the top, and Robinson should just hitch up, and Trubisky should throw him the ball. But Trubisky does not. He bombs it up to Deontay Johnson in a play that's got very little chance, a 50-50 ball. Again, one more time. Watch Robinson come off of Freiermuth. Throw him the ball right there, man. Right there. It's a first down. But instead, we bomb it up to Deontay Johnson. If you're going to bomb it up, look at the other side. Why not throw it to George Pickens? Trubisky has time. He can set his foot. That's a clean pocket. He doesn't get it done. Frustrating. So I understand that, why people, when they might not want to watch, if you've stayed with me for the 22 minutes of this presentation, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's instructive. You learn a lot, man. You learn a lot. And here's what we're learning. The Steelers have problems with their design. They have problems with their execution. They have problems with their quarterback and the read progressions. This was really an opportunity that the Steelers blew. If Mitchell Trubisky executes properly on that 3rd down play and that 4th down play, he's got receivers open for the first down in both instances. He misses one. He misreads the next one. There's other problems with the play calling, not being able to understand what coverage New England is in. There's other problems with the route running, poor execution, receivers covering themselves, not being able to get themselves open. So really, man, when you ask, hey, what's wrong with the Steelers offense? Is it the players? Is it the coaches? It's kind of all of it. At the end of the day, as a coach, I always say this. I have huge respect for all of these coaches in the NFL. Eddie Faulkner, Mike Sullivan, Matt Canada, they could all coach circles around me. I have no doubt about that. So it's hard to be critical of them. But at the end of the day, when the players aren't executing well and the designs aren't good enough for what the defense is giving you, that's on the coaching staff. And I think that's what it is, man. So, all right. I appreciate you going down that road with me. We'll be back next week with another breakdown, hopefully one that's more positive and more optimistic as the Steelers take on the Indianapolis Colts on Saturday. All right. Have a great week, everybody.